everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lizzie. Welcome to Sunday's Soulful Sessions with Spirit. Today we are talking about how to forgive yourself, and this is an array of things you're forgiving yourself for. Just FYI, because I'm a Virgo and I notice stuff, Yes, I changed up my background. This is another new addition this year, just this hippity hop. The other ones I did introduce, but I will be moving the signs around. I only switched two this time. This one was over here last time. Let this have a little light in the sun, and I'll be moving these around as well. Except my boy and girl bunny is probably going to stay there, and my gnome bunny will stay there, but everything else will move around. I also added more stuff that will be switching around. I get bored with the backgrounds as well, so I switch it up minor every once in a while. You're not crazy. You did notice. If you didn't, well, now you did. Also, I just dyed my hair bright hot pink and it came out awesome, but I am a little pink where I'm not supposed to be, so I'm not going to showcase my hair this weekend. Next weekend I will, when it's calmed down, because I did it myself. Anyone who does their hair at home, it's like 3 days of, holy shit, I wear hats at work, so I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to let it ride all week, and I'll be ready for the weekend. And I'm surprised I got it off I was scared. My hands were hot pink for a good long minute, but scrubbed. Still on my nails though, if you see that. Okay, anyway. So this is how to forgive yourself for like things you didn't go for in life, things you gave up on and wish you didn't, things you said and wish you didn't, mistakes you made. Like I said, we're getting into it. I pick the topics, I pick the decks, and then I work with Spirit and we get rolling. And I have a whole huge array of decks over here. I'm not planning it. I'm just going with the flow. It's Sunday. This is our last session for the anger management series. Thank you so much for all of you who have watched all 4 of this series for anger management. I really hope it helped you and it gave you something of merit in your life to use. That's what I'm here for. I'm just here to help you because I love you guys and I appreciate you so much. If you could, hit that like button. It helps me grow. Hit the subscribe button if you like my stuff. I'm not going anywhere. So, hi. Want to be friends? Subscribe. No pressure though. It's cool. If you just want to watch, I appreciate you. Just want to put it out there. We are starting, before we get into our reading, we are starting a next series next week. I'm not done with my Soulful Sessions with Spirit. They will continue. We were just on a new topic, if you will, and we are discussing emotional relationships, attachments to people. Let me get my list just so I don't say this wrong. I was going to kind of keep it on wraps about what was going to come up for this one, but there's a lot of questions, mostly like when I ask people questions for feedback, because I did talk to psychologists, I did put work behind this. The most questions they had about all the different sessions I gave them was relationship therapy. Well, what do you mean? So I'm just going to give you the 4 topics for this one. I'm not going to do this for every single session. We have, let me see, we're starting the second one. We have 5 altogether before I decide whether I'm going to add more to this or just stop with this therapy stuff. But this is the relationship therapy session that starts next Sunday. The first one is for married couples, any kind of married issues. And it could be long term. You don't have to have like a wedding certificate. Like I don't get hung up on titles. Long term marriage, that one is for you guys. Or if you're just wanting to know what a healthy relationship is, so when you do find someone, you can kind of, be like, oh, I know some shit before I get there. You can watch for that as well. The second one we're doing is for teenagers and relationships with their parents, but this could also be for like teachers and coaches. I'm going to touch bases on relationships teenagers have with adults, focusing on adults. They're not like teenagers with other teenagers or older kids. I'm talking about teenagers and their authority figures and stuff that can come up and how to guide you there. And then the third week we're going to get into relationship therapy between grown up children and their parents, like people who are grown up, have careers, and have their own children now, and their relationship with their parents now that they are parents or they're just older, like at least the age that their parents were when they had them. So I'm going to discuss those relationships and things that can come up and how to help you there. And then the last one we're getting into is for struggling friends groups. Like everybody seems to have a group of friends that you just kind of try, or you have to be forced together, like co-workers, like people in your church, like people in your community that live around you. You kind of have to associate with a lot of different people, and you got to get along, like PTA meetings, like how do we make these relationships work, and what can come up in these relationships that we kind of have to make work for our kids, or because we all live in the same area, or because we all work in the same place. So I'm going to discuss like not just friendships, but relationships you have to have with people. Like you have to have a relationship with them. You're going to see them every day, even if it's just, hi, how are you? Have a good day. That's still somebody you see every day. You still have an impact on their life. So we're going to really get into that. So that's 4 weeks of different areas about relationships and how they affect our lives and how we can be better at it and what we can do when things come up. But right now, like I said, this is the last one. How to forgive yourself on the anger management series. I'm not numbering these or labeling these. I think I did the first one, maybe the first two. Now I'm just calling them Soulful Sessions with Spirit. So if you want to look back, I think the first one I did, anger management series, it says that one was for how to forgive your ex-spouse or lover. Then I did one on how to forgive your attacker or bully, and how to forgive your parents was last week. These are all things to help you better your life, and let's get into how to forgive yourself. But I have to do my spiel on the last one. I'm getting into the new one, ending the next one. All right. Let's see. Where are we starting? Woo, hello. Let's get a little bit. Let me do one at a time today, Spirit. Where are we starting? For how to forgive ourselves. We're just going to dive right into this. Oh my God. Very active deck. This is my crystals deck, by the way. Emerald popped. What an appropriate time of year. It's the only one I'm going to take. Emerald for St. Patrick's Day that we just had. Unconditional love, beauty, recovery, healing, past lives. Okay, so a little bit of what we're going to discuss tonight is for people who do see, or today, whenever you're watching this. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning where I am. But it's like, for my gifted ones, briefly going to touch about how to forgive yourself for the stuff you see in past lives. And I saw myself do some fucked up shit. But also how to forgive other people that you see. But that's going to be very minute because there's not a lot of people that go down that road. So I'm not going to harp on it. But I am getting into that. But we're talking about recovery here. This is about like addiction. When you're in recovery, what people don't like to recognize is when you go to rehab, usually when it's your first time, you have such high hopes and you're like, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to change my life. But the realism of an addict is they have to go to rehab at least 3 times on average to kick the habit. So it's like, we're talking about how we set ourselves up for recovery, how we plan to overcome things but don't reach our own plan, and then we kind of beat ourselves up about it. So I'm going to talk about that first. Let's get like personal advice when you're here and you're in this moment and you're looking back on the mistakes you made while you're in recovery, whether they're recent or, past, because you can still kick yourself sometimes, even if you've been sober for 25 years for something you did when you were like first year as a drunk or an addict. 25 years later, you could still be harping yourself for that mistake, even though you are a recovered addict. Your brain doesn't recognize recovery in the same way as the physical part of your body does. So let's talk about forgiving ourselves for addictions, mistakes, toxic behaviors, peace. For the times we wore a mask, like there's a lot of guilt about how we treat people. Like this is, I feel, a lot to do with addiction, but doesn't have to be. It could be anything really, where you went to your family and maybe you told them a sad story to get money, or you rob them, or this is like all the shitty stuff that we like to hide about addictions, about the stuff when we're at our rock bottom, like this the things in recovery that you realize you did that you have to go and make amends for. You have to work the steps, and you get through those steps and you do that, and those people might forgive you, but the majority of you don't forgive yourself, and it kind of hangs you out to dry with your own recovery. And I feel like this is where a lot of those relapses come from. I mean, it is sometimes from when you go to get forgiveness and you're not granted it, and they kind of lash out, and your life, it doesn't have that picture perfect scenario where you go and ask forgiveness and they say, you know what, I forgive you, have a good life. You might get F you ruined my life, you stole from me, whatever. You might get an angry reaction, and that can also cause a relapse. But so can, these people forgiving you, and then you seeing how like really beautiful these people are, and then having to see them every day and never really, like, in your own eyes, you are always thinking they're seeing you as that shitty person, and you just always want to erase what that mistake, like always wanting to make up for that person you were. It's like I'm out in public, like, yeah, I'm doing better, I'm recovered, like, look at me, like, I want you to be proud of me, but inside I'm so disgusted with myself for the things that I did when I was sick, when I wasn't okay mentally, when I was an addict. What can I give you for personal advice for you in this moment? How do I help you forgive yourself when you're here? When you're in that moment, when you're walking in a building, because these are all like inner battles. This isn't something you're reflecting out to other people. Like, you're happy, you're smiling to everybody else, but inside you're like, they're always seeing me as this drug addict or this fuck up, and you're always like trying to tell people of all the good things that you're doing, and you're always trying to like erase the bad things that you did with good things. Constantly seeking, raise your vibration. This comes from a low vibrational place, and it comes from maybe you're scared that you're going to relapse again, or you're not going to live up to this forgiveness, and then you put pressure on yourself, to be a saint, when this person isn't forgiving you because they don't expect you to ever make a mistake again. They're forgiving you because you recognized a wrong that you did, and you came and you made an amends. And anybody who is high vibrational knows, in order for you to truly be free, you have to give that amends, not for the other person, but for yourself. They are raising their vibrations. They are freeing themselves from the burden by forgiving you. So the same thing can happen for you. You can free yourself from feeling this by saying, you know what? If they're good enough, if they see that I'm good enough to forgive myself, and yes, that's shitty, and they might always, so what? If they, like, if they do, and this isn't a thought in my own brain that's negative, if they do see me as that addict, all I can ever do in my life is just not be that addict. So every day I'm going to wake up and not be that addict. And one day, I'm just going to be smiling and not worry about it because, I'm putting all my energy into not being an addict and not worrying about being the person they want me to be. You're never going to be perfect. You can't erase the things from the past. You can't, rewrite that moment permanently, whether you want to or not. Whether you wish it and command it of others or not. You don't have that control in life. You don't have that power in life. So the only thing to do is to live that authentically, as in become that good version of yourself, but recognize you are not a saint. Don't have to live to their beat. You just have to live sober. And you just have to not do what you did to them to anybody else. And that's it. And yeah, it's embarrassing, and yes, you feel like shit, and you see someone and you're like, oh God, it's like a reminder of your past, but at the same time, it should also be a reminder of how far you've come and how worthy you are in people's eyes, because they could have just given up on you. They could have just said, fuck it. And if they did do that to you, the best way to get them back one day is to become a really good person authentically, as in live a really good life. And it might take years, it might take your whole life, but eventually they're going to look at you and be like, wow, they turned it around. They turned it around. Maybe I was wrong about them. My brain's, I think faster than I can speak. But, and like I said, I personally believe everybody who's meant to be in your life is going to be there, no matter what. Even if you, take a temporarily, a side reprieve from each other, you always come back. Whoever's meant to be there will be there. So it's just further proof if they can't accept you, then they're not meant to be there, because maybe they would sit there and harp on you, and that would cause you to never get up and move on with your life. Maybe Spirit is protecting you by their rejection. You gotta change your perspective on how you see it, and it'll help you forgive. Success and transformation, yes. See the success you have become in your own standards. Look, you're not out here doing that. It doesn't have to be about sobriety. It could be anything. I'm just using it as an example. Whatever complication that you're trying to prove yourself from, the success is in the actual real transformation. It's not just saying it. It's putting the action behind it. And it's okay if you have to fake it till you make it a little bit, because that becomes, the mantra of yes, I can, I think I can, I think I can, speaking it into existence and saying it to yourself until it's real. I don't feel like that is wrong. Faking it till you make it as a con artist, yeah, that's wrong. But you know what I mean? Self-belief, no, it's not wrong. Use that as a mastery of manifestation, of a way to get yourself up, to be that cheerleader, and just focus on the actual transformation, on not how you are supposed to be in other people's eyes or in society's, or don't focus on what you did in those moments that were horrific, or those, you did it. Okay, it happened. You're not going to do it again. You're not, And if you do it down the road, you're going to have to eat it again, and you will. We are human. We are on a human experience, and we are destined. It is 100% guaranteed that you will fuck up at least 3 times a day. 100% guaranteed. I'm a fucking goddess, and I fuck up at least 10 times a day. I don't hide shit from nobody. Alright, so let's talk about your energy here. Say, alright, you've embraced now, alright, I can't just keep harping on this embarrassing shit. I can't just, I need to forgive myself. I was drunk, I was stupid, I wasn't thinking, I was caught up in the, whatever, it happened. Yeah, I see why I did it. I see a million ways I could have done it better. I learned from it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and beat the shit out of myself forever. I'm just not doing it. So at this moment, what kind of energy does this put out into our life? How is this helpful? Oh, too many. This one, please. She who thrives, or he who thrives. Yeah, this is where the transformation begins. This is when you actually become the stronger person. In that moment of deciding, look, I did it. It happened. This is why it happened. I could have done it so many different ways, but I didn't. You know, I can't do anything about that. But what I can do is eat it, own it, apologize, and never do it again. And just knowing the next time I need to sit a minute and think about it and think about this moment so that I don't have it again. Learn the lesson and move on. That's step one in transformation here. This is where you start to thrive, when you're not harping yourself and beating yourself up and feeling like a shitty ass person. You have all this energy and it's like a weight off your shoulders, and you have time for other things, like maybe working out, maybe going to a comedy show and actually listening to the jokes and enjoying the moment you're in instead of being caught up here in your head all the time. But you can't flourish and prosper when you are suppressing your own self, when you are putting your own self in prison. You keep adding time to your sentence. Well, you know, the verdict is in, and I find you not fucking guilty, okay? You reduce sentence. Let that shit go. Walk on, walk tall. All right, let's get a new topic. What are we forgiving ourselves for next? One, please. I love these cards. It's just a cute little deck. I found it on Amazon. It's called Let Go. It has really beautiful artwork and little sayings. It's a teeny little deck. I think it was only like $4. Really pretty. See? I love art. I can't draw or paint, but, you know, I would have a gallery and just change artwork every day. It would be a different gallery every fucking day. Control your emotions, feel them, shift them, elevate them, be a master. This is about emotional outbursts. Oh dear, I have a few of these too. Oh Lord. Like, maybe you had a big fight in public and everybody heard. Like, or your neighborhood watched you throw clothes out on the front lawn. Like, fuck you, I hate you, I hope you die. Cops came, and it was like a whole spiel. I also had a few of those from the ghetto, so I feel like it's a rite of passage. One popo experience, at least. So I feel like we're talking about, like, maybe you stood up in class and was like, you gave me that test score because you're jealous. You don't even, you're just doing it to get even. Or like, I don't know, like, you just reacted in front of people, or you made a scene, or you blew something up, and it's just another version of, oh Lord. So let's talk about how I can help you, because, you know, this happens a lot with pregnant people, old people, just somebody having a bad day, when someone dies, you know, and you just, you know, you're in the middle of planning a funeral, and you get cut off in fucking traffic, and that person becomes, you know, Darth fucking Vader, and you're like, this motherfucker is gonna get the wrath of God, because I can't take one more thing. You know, those moments of, shit, look out, someone's about to die. Emotional outbursts. Or this could also be like when you emotionally cried and poured your heart out, and someone just like clearly like laughed at you or just did not give a fuck, and you're just like insanely embarrassed that you even put yourself out there like that. how do we forgive these moments? Let's talk about you and these moments. Now, before we talk about how to forgive, let me counsel you. Or try to. Wake up call. These moments happen to shake you up. Something's not right. Like I said, these emotional outbursts happen because of things in our life. Death, pregnancy, money issues, fighting at home, maybe your kid's sick. How am I going to afford their medicine? I don't know. There's a million reasons why people just flip out. It's not their true character. It's not what they mean to do. It's just they have so much going on in their life that they just can't. It's like an emotional combust. I cannot take another second of my life or this moment or whatever is inside. And majority of the time, people snap on something that isn't even a problem. It's just that was the icing on the goddamn cake. And they're going off about their in-laws. Meanwhile, they're at the gas station, and the gas station attendant's like, I don't know who Bob is. And you're just like, you know, and the gas station guy's like, are you even talking to me? I don't know. Those moments happen because things in our life are chaos. It's too much. You need help. You need sleep. You need to take a step back. So these emotional outbursts happen. It's a catalyst of things. Because of things that happen and for things to come. So, let's talk about a little bit in these moments. I've had this big burst, like, why do these moments happen? Understanding the psychology of yourself will help you forgive yourself. So let's talk about majority why people have these, like, flip out on the security guy. I flip when you're traveling and you get that one attendant that's just like a stickler for the, like, ma'am, I need you to take off your shoes. I did not check the back of your sole. Like, really, bro? I don't have a bomb in my shoe. She said bomb! Everybody down! And you're just like, oh, fuck, here we go. And you just go off. I'm to New York. I feel you. This is my group. The catalyst doesn't always have to be emotional things. It could be literally ridiculousness, ignorance, racism. Just what the fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? Those moments of your reaction to something, somebody else's reaction could have caused you to have these moments too. Surrender to what is. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. When you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it exactly as it is will bring you peace. Like I said, it is what it is that happened. You can't erase it, so let's look at why. I feel like Spirit is telling me a lot of why people freak out is because they can't change the outcome. This is like you trying to negotiate with your teacher to retake a test because you want to pass the class, but the teacher's like, no, all grades are final, and then you just wow out because you're like, what the? I paid for this class, you know, I deserve a second chance, blah, blah. You can't change the outcome, so you feel helpless and hopeless, and it takes you to a dark place and you react. So a lot of the whys is you can't change something. Like a police officer pulls you over and you feel like you're being racially profiled, and you know, you try to voice yourself and then they just demonstrate more authority and you just get mad, so you're just like, you know what, fuck you, and then you end up with a bunch of tickets, and it's because of their reaction. It's not because you had a shitty day, you know what I mean? So a lot of these moments are in the heat of the moment, what is said to you, how other people are reacting, and we forget that we are only responsible for what comes out of our mouth and what we do and how we feel. Other people sometimes want to get a rise out of us or just are genuinely ignorant, and let them live in ignorance. It's not your position or your job to retrain or reparent someone's life. Your only job is to know better for yourself and your life. You have to surrender to what is. All right, this person's ignorant. All right, these police officers are clearly out to get me. So as much as it fucking burns my ass, I'm going to shut my goddamn mouth. I'm going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to get a lawyer, and I'm going to make sure that this lawyer gets them for all this bullshit. I'm going to play it smart. Or I'm not going to react to this teacher. I'm just going to be like, all right, it's really unfortunate that you can't work with me. Like, I'm struggling. I pay for my class out of pocket, but hopefully next semester I have a teacher with a little bit more compassion, and maybe will be able to teach me a little better. You know what I mean? So you can still burn their ass without wrecking your image or your professionalism. So you got to surrender to what is. Okay, I can't change this person's mind, so I'm not going to give them more satisfaction by blowing up. And again, I'm not preaching at you because I've done this a lot. Or like in those police officer moments of, you feeling like they're abusing their control, you really got to be smart. You got to don't play into their hand. That's kind of what they want, and it makes the whole situation worse. See the higher perspective of things, and it will help you to not have these moments. But these moments happen. So how do I help you forgive yourself for it? We understand why it happens, either because of things stacking up, and it's really not even about that. You're just physically exhausted. You're mentally and emotionally drained and exhausted, and it's just coming from a place of trauma or hurt or, like I said, exhaustion. You just have a lot. Maybe you have a new baby. Maybe you're having marital problems. It's just things that project onto something else or other people's reactions. Whatever the outcome, it's all the same advice. You see the higher perspective. Don't give them the reaction. You can only control yourself. Let's see how we forgive ourselves. Surrender your desire to control people. You can't control how people feel, and surrender your control or your fear of intimacy in these moments of letting our heart out and being real and saying it like it is and telling people about themselves really puts you on display in a way, and it makes people take notice of you, and that kind of makes you feel naked, and that creates the trauma, and not actually what you said and did. It's the fact of the public of it or the shockingness of what came out. But you can't control how that person is going to react, if they're going to remember, or how they perceive it. That came out of your body. You learned an emotional experience either from past stuff or because of someone else's reaction. You learned that maybe you have an issue with, like, I had to work on this too. Like when somebody ignorantly said shit to me, I felt it was my place to correct them, because if I didn't, then allowing ignorance to exist was allowing ignorance to continue on in the future. And no, that person is choosing to be ignorant. They're smart. They know the difference. They're choosing to be ignorant. If you're choosing to stand toe to toe with an ignorant person, you're going to become ignorant too. And you are clearly not. You can't walk the walk and do the work for these people. Eventually, they're going to have to see themselves as they are. And eventually, they're going to have a moment like you did. And they're going to have to learn this lesson. And they're going to have to feel what you're feeling. And you know what? You can't control if they're going to, pick on you for it. Or if they're going to rub your face in it. That's just a low vibrational person anyway. Because even when someone comes at me hard, I say what I got to say to them. I'm not going to go the next day and talk shit about them to everybody that I see. I said what I needed to say to that person. Just let it dead with them. And if they are, doing that and talking around, they don't have the balls, they don't have the respect to be, or the cojones to Just be real. And at least you are. At least you did. And it might have been wrong. It might have been embarrassing. But you got the cojones to say what you got to say. And at least you know when push comes to shove, you're going to tell someone that you have a boundary. This is my boundary and you aren't going to cross it. You're strong enough to create that boundary and not everybody is. So at least see that about yourself and understand you can only control yourself. You can't control the world and everybody else. We give them too much power over us every day, and including when we're forgiving ourselves, we're still thinking about their reaction to what we did, and we can't do anything about that. We can't do anything whether they're going to forgive us, whether they're not. That's out of our control. All we can do is be authentic, apologize with, conviction and purpose and heart behind it, and move the fuck on. Sweep it under the rug. Stop worrying about what they think when they see you, what they're going to say when they see you. Yeah, it happened. I'm sorry it happened, I'm embarrassed, but I'm not going to hang my head every damn day about it. It's the same, we're coming back to the same mentality of choosing to boss up. Look, it happened. Just own it to your community, own it to the person or whatever was going on in your life. Look, that was a shitty thing to do, or maybe it wasn't a shitty thing to do. Look, everything I said was truth. I had a very emotional outburst on my way out of my last relationship. I am embarrassed for myself and my actions, but everything that came out of technically I should have gone harder. Technically they got awful light. You know what I mean? But still, for me, that was a bad look. And I was I dropped down to their level. How dare I? But I saw the lesson and why I allowed myself to be triggered. And that's a lot of the reason why these emotions come up and pop up and fly off and you have moments, because we're allowing those buttons to be pushed. Whether we're starting out with what, I'm not going to feed into this person's shit. And then you end up feeding into the shit because they keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And as annoying as it is, you just got to keep walking, drive away. You just got to keep going in the higher road and the higher perspective, because they're going to keep going low. Don't go low too. We're all susceptible to it, and we all fall victim of it. Even as a high priestess, some days I'm listen, motherfucker, I'm going to tell you about yourself. And, technically that's wrong, but sometimes I feel like it's spirit, it depends on how you do it, but sometimes a gut check moment in someone's life is a catalyst to a positive change. Yo, you're pretty fucking selfish, bro. That's wrong. Or whatever it is. You can say things and be assertive, but not be you're a freaking loser, you're not going to amount to anything. That's very negative, but that's rude and uncalled for. That isn't necessarily a diss, but it's hey, sometimes people need that. I gotta go check my laundry. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Got cold. I took my time and folded it because my work week is 4 days long. I work long shifts, so I pick out 4 outfits in advance and I put them in a basket so I can just grab 1 stack out per day, and it's mindless because I'm on the go so much. So I took my time to fold my laundry so I could easily pick stuff out. Anyway, I got this a couple weeks ago at the Thrifty. Mint condition. It still had the tag on it. Yeah, it was initially I don't know, 28 something on the tag, and I think I paid $4 for it. So yeah, thrift store is good for some shit. I get most of my name brand stuff. It doesn't come off the rack. It comes off the thrift store floor. They can't hate. But I save money. Listen, I ain't got it like that yet. One day I will happily buy shit off the rack. But right now, it's like a treasure hunt. I get excited about saving money. It's It's like a game to me. How much money can I save? Like I do it with everything. Coupons. Oh my God. I had to cut myself off from coupons. I was like, went left. I was like, this is free money, guys. Do you know how much shit I could get for free? But like, it was stuff like, I didn't even need it and or want it. I just got it because it was free. And I was like, oh my God, I have a problem. I'm going to turn into a hoarder. I need to stop. So I did. I was a cleaning lady for a long time. I cleaned for hoarders. I was like, I am not going that left. Fuck no. As you can tell, I'm still a klepto about holidays. I mean, you gotta be a klepto about something, right? Right. Anyway, let's see what else need to help you forgive. We talked about like addictions and the crappy things we do and having to like live around the people we did those things to, especially family. And then we talked about like the outbursts, like any kind of emotional outbursts, angry outbursts, and the, oh man, ugh, like in front of your kid's school or in front of the church, in front of work, or like the oh man moments. Let's see what else they're gonna bring up. This isn't a good one to start with. Start with this one. I'm just gonna shuffle it. These little ones are really... This is another little deck I got. I found it on Amazon. I bought these during the pandemic. I think they were like maybe $4 or $5 each. I don't use it that much, but I like them. Kind of forget I have them because I put them in the drawer on my shelf. Letting go. Letting go is not giving up. Sometimes it's the first step towards success. So this is talking about all those things in life that we let go of and we regret we didn't. Like, I'm just going to use my personal experience as an example. I grew up wanting to be an actress. I gave up on it. I still, to this day, I'm like, I wonder what could have happened if I should, you know? I still kind of want it a little bit. But, you know, I'm always like, writer, actress, writer. Why do I have to pick one? You know, I just feel like these are things that are, you know, maybe you could be a successful person and maybe you like passed up on something and it became like huge, massively. I'm sorry, you're going to hear my cats. I just fed them their breakfast, by the way. So, my tarot center is like shoved in the corner of my apartment with the cats. So, you know, whatever. Letting go. Also could be like, maybe we quit things like jobs that we regret quitting or giving up on school even. So let's see. Let's go to this one. I don't know what this is today. Dancing with Tarot. Just trying to like, I'm like, oh, we gotta go back to work tonight. But I'm trying to be like positive. Like, it's just a shift. It's just money. You need it to survive. You go home at the end of the day. It's done. But not really, because it's half of a day. Like I spent, like this is why I need to get a new job. I'm not down with the long shifts. And I think I want to go back to working regular fucking hours. And I could do that. I could switch to day shift, but sorry, I almost lost a paper. But I will be like almost $2.50 less an hour. Like for the same job. I'm not doing the same job for less. No. Duality. This is kind of spirit saying like there's pros and cons to everything in this type of lesson. Like, let's talk about maybe you really liked a job, but the boss was shitty. And one day you just flipped out and you said, fuck it, I quit. But, you know, maybe that job could have, like, was like an internship and could have launched you, or you just always regretted how you handled it. There's good and bad parts to that. One, everything that is meant to fall off will. So this is just clarity on the fact that although you like this thing or whatever you thought about it, it really wasn't for you because it fell off of your life. Also, you have to look at, all right, well, you like the job, but somebody wasn't treating you right. You at least learned that somebody was crossing a boundary and you didn't like it and you reacted badly about it. And because you reacted badly about it, you had a bad outcome. So you learned that when someone pushes your boundary, that you aren't going to just react emotionally or impulsively instead of, just quitting. You're probably gonna like take a minute. Like I did that. I just quit without having a job in place of it because I couldn't stand what was going on, and I regretted that. Like seriously regretted that. And I always remember that moment. Like, all right, you had to have a different job before you quit. That was the lesson I learned from that moment. Luna, what's the matter? Are you okay? What's up, Looney? She never meows or nothing. That was Luna. Luna. She was looking for her mom. Wow. She must have not been able to find her. You okay, Loons? Oh, you both came. Hi, ladies. That scared me, Loons. Sorry, guys. Sound like you were dying. She was like, "Meow." Sorry. I'm a cat mom, okay? I don't have kids. So I spoil my fur babies. A lot. They're fat. I have to put them on a diet. This medicine sign is popping to me as well. I feel like this talks about mental health. Like if it was, like say it was at a job and you snapped out and you're like, oh, I'm quitting. Or you just, did something and maybe got fired for it. Maybe you just told your boss off one day. So this is like a forced letting go of something. A reaction could have caused a reaction you didn't want here. But all of this is for you to be shifted towards the person you are and towards the job or the things or the people you're supposed to be around. So all those crappy ass things that were like, push it under the rug is actually, like when you're driving, when I'm driving to work sometimes, there's this really creepy old road and a train goes by and it takes forever and I hate it. And you never know. There's like no train schedule. You can't predict it. It just freaking happens. And it just puts a whole kink in shit. Everybody's plans. But this talks about your mental health. And like, had you stayed there and never like had that outburst and never stuck up to someone who's a bully or never demanded to be treated better, had you never voiced yourself, you would have a different trauma, because that's the kind of trauma somebody has when they're bullied and they never stick up to their bully and they never set that boundary of I'm not gonna take it. You know what I mean? Like if they don't have that moment, that moment of I'm not gonna take it no more, it teaches you so much about yourself. And although it's sometimes embarrassing and sometimes causes a really shitty outcome, like I run my mouth at work sometimes and I shouldn't be doing that. It could bite me in the ass, but luckily for me it has turned in my favor. You learn how to voice yourself, how to go about things, and it all comes from I reacted and this happened and that was not the reaction I wanted. It's just so you can learn. Don't like think that, oh my God, I'm gonna fuck up, I can't hold a job, or oh my God, I'm mortified, I can't face society because I had a one shitty moment in one shitty day. Like, listen, if I ever, like, I don't know, ran for president, there's gonna be at least 3 motherfuckers on this planet and be like, that bitch is a psycho and she's scary. You're damn fucking right. To them I was. And they deserved every fucking minute of it, but I still shouldn't have reacted that way. One of them was an insurance company, and she blocked me in and wouldn't let me leave. So I walked right up in that motherfucking bitch, right up to her desk, and told her about herself and her own job. So that was insulting and embarrassing and like, oh fuck. I hope nobody has, I don't know. I could be on YouTube just like, listen, motherfucker! There's been a couple moments. But I told people about themselves. But they were mistreating me. And, you know, this is my point. They were mistreating me. My reaction was also a mistreatment to me. Don't add to your own trauma by adding on to someone else's already fucked up shit. Like, that lady shouldn't have done that. It was illegal as fuck. She knew it. I knew it. The whole world knew it. She got away with it because of my reaction. Had I been smart and just called the popos and let the popo handle it instead of going in there like a gangster, I would have got that bitch. True story. You know what I mean? Like, learn from it. Don't harp on it. Like, I lived right next door to that building. So I had to see those motherfuckers every day. You know, after that, you know, granted, she got most of that because my friend died, like, the day before. And she just fucked with me on the wrong day. And I was like, oh, no. Linda? Becky? Fuck this Becky bitch. Like, oh my God, I went up. It's comedy gold, but not in the moment. Try to laugh it off like me. Like, I can sit here and harp on myself for those moments, and I did for a long time. But now I just giggle to myself like, oh my God, what an asshat. Like, why did oh my God, I could write a whole skit on what a fucking idiot. We both were in that situation. Like, Jesus fuck. Like, of all the things to do. Like, she must have had a boring day, and I just needed a moment. And it just became a tornado of shit that would probably make me a lot of money in stand-up, but not so good in the character, you know what I mean? But how do you think comedy people, movie producers, how do you think they write movies and stuff? Like, people fuck up horribly, horrifically in their life and spin it. They turn it into a comedy. Instead of harping on it, they learn the lesson from it, and then they laugh about it. That's how you forgive yourself. Turn it into a comedy gold skit. All right, what else? Let's do this one. What else do we need to learn to forgive ourselves for? Ego death. Oh, damn. The embarrassing moments we get called out in public, checked by authority, like pulled over, like, or asked questioned in front of people like, ooh, she's getting taken out by the police. What happened to her? What'd she do? Is she guilty? Is she not? You know, like, your boss being like, oh, you've been here for so-and-so years, like, good for you, but I'm the fucking boss here, and I don't like your attitude, so you're getting a demotion. Oh, shit, like, I'm not as valuable as I thought. And this also comes from when we get a little too big for our britches. This happens to people who, who get a little bit of a success, want to be flashy, to the people in their life, not always from a condescending place, but comes off from it, and that can cause a lot of like, oh, I was such a douche, moments, or like, oh man, I was overly confident and I just shouldn't have been, or those moments where you thought you knew what you were doing and you're like, I don't need to learn this, I know, and then you fucked up because you didn't know, because your ego got in the way. So let's talk about it. What do we need to know about this? The protector. Ooh. Okay, so this is okay, I was wrong. Forgiving yourself in the moments of not sticking up to a bully, not defending someone's honor, like if you're a man and you're with a female and you're just not a fighter, and some big ass dude came on the scene and was like talking shit like, I'm gonna fuck your girl tonight, me, looking for a fight, and you're clearly not a fighter, and you might have, had a wuss out moment, or you might have said, I'm just gonna go home, and like it could have cost you a relationship, or people could talk shit, or made you look weak, and you just still kind of beat yourself up about it. You're still going back in your mind to that moment where, and in those moments you're standing up to yourself. You're like, you know what, motherfucker, yeah, let's fight. Taking off your jacket because you didn't get to do that. Like you're regretting that moment. How do you forgive yourself? How do you move on from here? Let's talk about it. Spirit, what do we do? Oh, thank you. Uncovering treasure. Beneath the surface lies great bounty. It's like we all have an inner dragon. We all have an inner beast. We all have that button that eventually gets pushed that makes us stand up and say, you know what? Not today. Not today, Satan, mother. You know what I mean? It's like, it sometimes takes a little bit longer for some people's buttons to be pushed. But just because you didn't stand up in that moment doesn't mean that you are weak. It doesn't mean that you are wrong. Okay? There's things happen in our life that teach us lessons. This was to teach you how to pick a battle that was important to you. Even to this day, looking back on it, the whole thing was probably fucking stupid. Okay? It was probably the stupidest fucking thing. Like, why did it even happen? Who the fuck cares? It has no relevance to your life anymore, their life, or anyone who is involved. And even if it does it, even if you're still the brunt of a joke, the whole thing is still stupid. It's stupid. Why give it your energy? Why give it your power? Recognize that maybe you protected yourself. Maybe that guy or girl, or if the fight situation, if it was that, maybe that person had a secret weapon, or maybe you would have caught charges, or maybe you would have lost your job. Maybe you would have ended up in the paper or something. There would have been a bigger reason had you have stepped to that person, had you had given in to something you didn't want to do. Had you had done it, it would have been worse than not doing it. It's kind of like Spirit's protection. Although it caused you some shame and some harm, you still learned a lesson in it. And the lesson was, the next time someone pushes you around, you're not going to give them as much leeway as that person. And even if it is stupid, you're going to come at the situation a little bit more cleverly. Like, I don't need this. Like, who are you? Like, we're grown, man. I got a life. I got a career. I fight when I need to fight. If my life, like, this ain't high school. Grow the fuck up, bro. Get your own girl. You're that pathetic. You need to steal other people's girls. Like, you know what I mean? You learn to out-talk them. You learn what your asset is, and you learn to use it as your advantage. You don't come out of the womb knowing how to out-talk someone or knowing how to fight good. This is something that has to come from practice, and not everybody's a fighter. There's a lot of passive people I love passive people. Everybody should be passive. Like, I don't want to fight. Why? Why do we need to fight? Can't we hug it out like, kumbaya, motherfucker? Like, what the fuck? I know MMA, and I'm like, yo, like, why do we need to fight? Like, why? I don't like that asshole. You can have him. Like, we're two grown-ass bitches. Why are we fighting over a stupid dude? Like, I still use my logic. I can fight good. I can knock someone out, and I really choose not to. I am actively somebody who chooses not to. And it's all about perspective. Like, when you stop giving a fuck about everyone else in the room and you only give a fuck about this person in the room, all this trivial shit does not play out and does not run through your mind a million times a day. This is all when we are at low vibrational moments. We think about these things when we are being triggered in our life. There's something that somebody's being a bully to us again, or there's something in our life that's out of control, like we were out of control in that moment, and it triggers us. Instead of allowing it to shadow your day and shadow your mind, like, that was a peon a million years ago. It has no relevance to my life or my time frame now. I can stand up in my moment now. I can make this moment count, but I'm going to do it calmly. I'm going to think and not do it with a hot head, and I'm going to use my intelligence. This is picking your battles and then picking your tactic on when you go to war, you're a tactical person. You're not a reactive person. Reactive people do not win wars. Tactical people do. So what? You didn't stand up to that one. It was a tactical decision in your life in that moment that kept you from some shit. Thank Spirit for that, and move on with your life. Stop beating yourself up just because you were bullied, just because you allowed someone a pass. Doesn't mean the next motherfucker's gonna get one. Okay, you learned something. You got a little bit of brass behind you. And if you don't know what to do if somebody steps to you again, sign up for a self-defense class. Learn, watch people who are good at, talking shit. And learn some words and learn how to use your fucking body. You know, most people, as a person who actually can fight, it's very fucking rare that I come across someone who knows how to fight. They're all this and all of this, and they put on a great big fucking show. The quieter they are, the more I pay attention. That's somebody who knows how to fight. The loudest one in the room, that motherfucker don't know how to fight. Guaranteed. You know what I mean? It's all about perspective. They fed you an illusion and you fell for it. Now change the illusion. They're the fucking idiot who gets most of the world to fall for their shit. And you decided to flip the script and they didn't like that. And you know what? Something might have went down. Maybe it made you look weak, but they didn't get one up on you, did they? Fuck no. You used your mind over their brute, whoever it was in the situation. And if it wasn't that kind of you didn't stick up for yourself or someone else, if this is something you just took less than you deserve for years, either from a boss, a parent, a sibling, a lover, it's taking everybody's shit because you just felt less than, or you were intimidated or whatever, and now you're not. Now you're strong and you're berating yourself. Maybe the breakup happened, maybe you left a job and you're just why did I take that fucking asshole all these years? And you beat yourself up I'm so stupid, I'm so weak. No, everything happens exactly as it's meant to. You, like I said, aren't born a strong warrior. You are built into one, and everything has to happen in its due course and due time. You need to forgive that part of yourself and just take the lesson from it. I know it feels repetitive in this lecture, but I think they're saying no matter what aspect we look at here, whatever you have done, you have to look at why that action happened, your part, your responsibility in it, how you could have done it better, or how it could have been worse even, might actually make you feel better. And then you have to see the other person's side of it. And you have to honestly and with equality in your heart see it from their side of it too. This is how you truly learn. But I'm going to get one more before I end this lecture for you. Again, I don't mean to call it a lecture. It's just like a college thing. Got a lecture today. This is a lesson. Humility. Okay, so this is like forgiving ourselves when we should have helped people and we should have shown more compassion. We should have given a damn and we didn't. All those moments when we were kind of shoved up our own ass or just didn't see. How do I help you through this one? Oh, when rejection. Okay, so this is about when, like, maybe you go on an audition and you don't get the part and you're just like, well, fuck you then. This movie's fucking stupid. You know, not handling rejection very well. Also creates those, oh boy. And it could also ruin your reputation. So this is when we don't handle rejection well, like, oh, you want to break up with me? Break up with me, motherfucker? Nobody breaks up with me. I'll break up with you, okay? I break up with you. The bad side of ego. We all have been there. Mostly when we're young. Not all the time. This could be like midlife crisis shit, you know? I've done this. I'm guilty of this, too. I mean, I never did the breakup like, oh, you're breaking up with me. I should do that. No, because, you know what? No, because I never planned to ever date another asshole again. But that would have been so funny. You break up with me? Fuck you. I break up with you. I should have said that. You know what I mean? But this is what I'm talking about. Like, probably, I should have said this. I should have done that. And you're like reliving those moments. Me adding on to fights is not healthy, but I also am guilty of this. Hence, probably why we're talking about it. They call me out too. Moving fast. So this rejection came fast in your life, like something out of the woodwork. Like, oh fuck, like maybe you thought this person was going to propose to you and that you were going on this fancy romantic dinner, and then you find out they're breaking up with you for someone else, and you read that whole script wrong, and you were like, what the fuck? And it did not handle it well. Maybe you dug my keys into the side of his four-wheel drive a few fucking times. Maybe you had like a psycho, like, reject me, motherfucker! I don't think so! You could have, no judgment here. I'm just being funny to make you giggle. It could have been a Britney Spears. You know, I love you, Brittany. You know what? No, that was rude. Let's stop harshing on mental health. Not cool, self. Not cool. I'm off somatic depressive, so I'm in the club too. I feel like you can make jokes about it if you're in the club. Hence, most of comedians. Anyway, not really a comedian, but I write a lot of comedy. My friend's been trying to get me up on stage for years. I might try it. I've been thinking. I don't know. I'm looking for my shtick. Maybe stand-up is it. I don't know. Throw myself to the wolves. See what the fuck happens. How can I counsel? Sorry, I was giving myself a minute because I'm not sure which one to ask. How do I help? Because I feel like this is two different things. This is humility over, like, rejection from, like, love and, like, maybe loss of a job. But this is, like, also those moments of where you rejected people and, it, like, maybe someone really important in your life, like, came to you for help and you're just like, fuck off, I'm too busy for you. And maybe something really bad happened to them and you feel guilt. How do you forgive yourself for that? Let's start there. Resolve. This is a period of indecision and inner conflict, and it's time to make a decision. I feel like this is like, let's talk about the horrific side of this. Like, say someone called you, I'm just using it for an example, it does not have to be the literal thing. Well, maybe somebody called you for a ride, they were drinking, and you're like, no, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I have to work, call an Uber, I'm sick of your shit, bye. And maybe they got in a car accident. God forbid, hopefully not. But it could have been something like that, where like somebody called you for help and you didn't respond and something bad happened. Or maybe you just didn't take it seriously. Maybe this was somebody who like cried sheep a lot, and then the one time you said no, it actually was something serious, and you have a lot of, like, you beat yourself up about how quickly you rejected and cut this person out, how you didn't really think about their needs. It's like more of like a guilt thing. So how can I help you through this? Commitment. So if this is like somebody who is meant to be in your life, like say something happened and life went on and this person's still in your life, but you always, like, maybe you have made amends with this person and it's just your side of things. I think your commitment to this person, just whenever you start to feel that guilt, and I don't want you to do this in an unhealthy way, as in you can't be like buying this person shit all the time, but every so often just go out of your way a little bit to show them how much you mean to them. Not necessarily to make up for that rejection, but just so that they know that you do matter to me, because I think this is where the hurt comes from. You made them feel like they didn't matter, and that's the ouch you're beating yourself up for. So the more that you actively put forth, and again, this is sporadic, don't do it all the time because it loses merit. It doesn't have to be an actual gift. It could just be like, you know what, you're a really good friend. And, I know I say it all the time, but I was really shitty that one time, and I just want to tell you again that I'm sorry. Just always reaffirming that they are important will help you heal as well. Let's talk about the ones that maybe lost people, that can't have that actual closure in person. How do I help you forgive yourself? Compassion. Yeah, this is like, say you flip the script. Say this person rejected you, didn't help you, and you died. And you're up in heaven or wherever you believe in, looking down at everything that played down that night. You're going to have more pieces of the story than the person here on earth. Have compassion for yourself and understand that you are not God. You can't say when someone's going to die and when they're not. And, if you were meant to help this person, you would have. I strongly believe there is a plan in place, to a point, because you have murders and you have things that are people's free will that they can't intercede on. And so, yes, technically their plan can get cut off by other people's choices, but this person's choice to get in their car to drive or to not reach out to another person or whatever actions they took after your rejection is completely their fault. And I know that seems heartless and cold, but that's 100% fact. Everybody has to make their own decision. Everybody is an adult here. And if this was a child, I would understand as a parent, like if maybe you had a grown child and they were an addict and they always called you for stuff, and they could have OD'd that night when they called you, like, you couldn't continue to be a doormat. You couldn't continue to allow them the privilege of their life. Like, you are a person, your actions came from love. You wanted them to get themselves up. Like, it came from the right place and not a wrong place. This isn't something you should beat yourself up for. Everybody's actions has a reaction. Like, even your decision not to help, caused a different reaction in their life. Like, I can't sit and explain why people die when they do and why horrific things happen or why we don't help when we want to and we just feel like not doing it, and it's just fate lines up like that. I don't have the answers. It's above my pay grade and it's above yours. All we can accept is the fact that the next time someone calls, you learned a lesson. You'll think, you'll take a tick, and you'll whatever divinity you partake in, you'll have that moment within yourself like, all right, maybe I should get up and do this, or no. Always trust your intuition. You don't know what could have happened to you had you have done the thing you didn't do. Every rejection is God's protection, even when it's you doing the rejecting. So how do I help those who, kind of handled rejection really bad? You're not breaking up with me, motherfucker. How do I help somebody? I don't mean to make light of it. I'm just trying to, it's okay. Give you a hug, kind of, through comedy. Trust that you, like I said, everything is divinely orchestrated. Maybe the angels or your guides or whoever was in charge that day was like, let's put a little kindling under her butthole or his butthole and light it. Because this person needs to come out with some hellfire and tell that person about themselves. And they need to do this so they have confidence later for whatever they need to do. I don't know why I'm getting so animated right now. But trust that this is all part of your learning process on how to accept rejection. We're not born handling rejection well. Think about children when they don't get what they want. You feel me? Nobody knows what the fuck to do with rejection. It takes work, and it's not fun, and it's getting kicked in the teeth every time, and you're going to handle it better and better and better. And some days, you're going to handle it like shit. And in those moments where you handle it like shit is a lesson. Why did you handle it like shit? Did you put all your eggs in one basket? Were you a little unrealistic about the outcome? Were you, a little self-conscious? Were you putting yourself in someone else's lane? Did it really line up for you? Or did something else come in its place directly after it? Trust the bigger picture. What is rejected from you is God's protection. That's not your one. That's not your thing. Now I can make room for what is or who is. It was meant to fall off. Just leave it there. Don't harp on it too much. Boo-boos. Alright, overall, in general, for giving ourselves any more advice for any kind of scenarios to close this out. I gotta set out my outfits, make my bed with my clean sheets, and get a little writing in before 7. This is about, like I said, seeing the higher perspective. Seeing the gift of what that lesson is. Because when we learn something bad and we reharp it and we think it over in our mind and we see all the scenarios and which way it could have played out, is only going to create a better reaction for the next time. So you're shape-shifting. You're evolving as a person. You're growing. And you're mastering things. Every time you fuck up, you're actually mastering a new lesson. And you're just becoming a more better and evolved person. When we harp ourselves, when we refuse to forgive ourselves, it's because we're refusing to see the lesson and we're refusing to learn it. Once we see what the lesson is, once we see why it all played out and the grand perspective of life and what we need to take from it, the rest of the bullshit just seems useless, and you don't got time for it in your mindscape. Your mind library is full. So clear out the clutter. Take what you need from it, master each lesson, and become a more evolved person. Forgiveness of yourself is seeing why you did it, what caused it, and how to better so that it never happens again. That's all forgiveness is here for, even with yourself. So I hope this anger management series was really, really good for you. I hope you got something from it, and I'm so excited for our next series, the relationship therapy sessions. It kind of goes hand in hand, but we are going to be developing, I want to really establish relationships and getting ourselves in check before we get into the thicker stuff. So it's going to get more intense as we go. Again, I work from tonight until Thursday morning, so you probably won't see me again until Thursday. I'll do a random collective reading that day for you. I'm just gonna go with the flow that day and see what happens. Friday is our Skybar Confessions. I usually shoot those late Friday night. They come up early Saturday morning, so I'll probably shoot out another random reading on Friday during the daytime, since Skybar Confessions comes out on Saturday. Then we have our love relationship reading on Saturday, and Sunday, again, another Soulful Sessions with Spirit, and we're getting into our new session, like I said, the relationship therapy, and that one is for married couples. So I will see you next Sunday. Don't forget, I am giving away the Muse Tarot for Easter. All you have to do is be a subscriber. So if you want in on this deck, I will ship it to anyone in the world. It's very pretty. It's mint condition. There is a slight dent in the box. It's my cat's tooth. Weirdo bit the box, but it's really cute inside. The guidebook's in mint condition. I don't think I ever opened it. The cards are really cool. And the backs are really pretty. Very Eastery. So if you want in, hit the subscribe button below. I will be doing I'm just going to pick whoever has been liking, commenting, reacting to my channel the most. I am picking my muse for the Muse Tarot. The person that gives me the most love from now until Easter and is a subscriber will win the Muse deck. So if you want in on it, make sure you're liking, talking to me in the comments, sharing, subscribing, all the good stuff. I am paying attention. I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. And have a great week. And I'll see you next weekend. Bye, guys. Toodaloo. Boo-boo.